because it's going to be about back attacks, and it's a continuation of actually like an upgrade from my class I gave here 3 years ago. There were some problems with it, and I tried to fix them. So what I'm going to do first is going to explain to you what is the main idea of escape from the back. I'm going to do a few rounds from there, and then I'm going to show you the complete end game and then the in-between part, okay? So, Francesco, please. So actually, no, you go my back first. Yeah? So just like my class I gave on Monday about core motions, see? You got to understand every escape from the back as a core motion. So look, what I mean with this, look, so our legs and our arms, of course, do move. Without arms for a second, okay? So we're here, and then pull your feet a bit tight in, okay? So everything I do is always going to start from my head, then shoulders, then knees, and then toes. Just like that song, you know, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Or like our cat falls from a tree. Keep tight, okay? So if I'm here and I try to rotate as a whole, it's very hard, see? If Francesco, for example, even if he's not touching me, he just puts a finger on my nose here, see? Exactly. And I try to force my whole body, that doesn't work, see? But you can break up your motions. Now in general, if I stop your nose, for example, or your face or whatever it is here, and I try to now rotate the rest of my body, it's a bad idea. You see, you get crooked. You can start changing your neck and changing direction. You put it in my nose, so we're here, and the whole idea of defense is you have to use 3 things. You have to use the sideways lateral motion, you have to use the fold and the extension, and then you have to use rotation. And the very quick thing that I want to say is this, look in the beginning. If you can just look over your shoulder, see, so your head goes, see, then you rotate your shoulders, you make a lateral motion, and you get your arm inside over here. It's a leap, huh? You have to fight to get this. Once you get here, you can start. Okay, you can use your hand for a split second, point your toes, rotate your foot, and end up in a position like this. That would be like an escape from the back. So it's not something you get often, but it's an escape. And I like very much a lot. I'm gonna tell you, like, I like a lot fighting from in between positions. So the way I understand Jitsu today is, so this is, look around, on your back please. Close guard. So this is close guard, right? And close guard, mount, and the back should not be seen as 3 separate positions. I see them as the position in between the legs. I don't even have to be closing the legs, see? So this is close guard, of course, and if I turn around, then it's the back. But now tell me, when does he have my back? When does it start? Is it here, 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 here? It's discussable. And then it depends also on where is the arm. So this you can do to my YouTube channel. I'm not going to give that drill now. What I like to do a lot is, for example, start rounds from here. Maybe with this, like for example, with the arm put here. Why is this interesting? Because now this fight is decided and our battle is decided. Yeah? He moves his head over there, see? He starts either to press and come up for a hip bump, see? And I can decide how far let him come. And come up, please. And here I'm training very early mount escape, and he's training late close guard attack. If he gets my arm over here, then he's attacking, then he's playing, well, arm bar or back attack, and whatever you want. And you can have like a very interesting chess game here. Let's fight like very slow, see? Sometimes I fail, sometimes I will succeed. I can choose, then I go a bit further. I lost the arm, okay, then I go for the knee to stop his rotation. And I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is a drill I like a lot, and you can do this with a lot of positions. Like I said on Monday, I don't think it's interesting to start positional, also because setups play a big part, of course, but I don't think it's necessarily that interesting to put a lot of time into grip fighting and setups right from the get-go. Because what's the point of fighting for grips if you don't know what you're fighting for? Everyone understand? So I prefer to go end game first, then do a little bit of mid game, and then when you're getting better, then you start doing setups. Because when you do setups, it's a very big, and grip fight is a very big point of uncertainty. You can go in many directions from there. So it doesn't make sense to do that too much if you don't know all directions. Understood? So now, if Francesco's on my back, what I want you to do, look, we're gonna go without arms. So only thing that arms and legs do, for a big part, is to stop is to attach him to myself. And then his core and his arms together are gonna try to either increase my motion or stop my motion. Every time you feel like you have motion you want from your opponent, you allow him to move. Every time you feel there is motion you don't want, you try to block that motion. If you get to a point where there is stalling and you cannot continue, what do you do then? Then you try to force him to move. How you do it? By making him uncomfortable. It can be, well, by putting a choke, by putting some like pain a little bit, like a choke or like a lock. It can be perceived pressure from points. Okay? It can be you yelling insults in his ears. Well, I do, but my purple belt, hey man, a purple belt, you cannot get out. It's a joke sometimes, and they start moving. So you can play with those things. Or you can put time and say, okay, you have to escape in a certain amount of time. And now for the technique, I want you to think about this. Okay, you're just gonna try different options. You attach with your legs, please. Yeah. No, just here. Yeah. And you, in the beginning, you're not gonna do anything at all. Okay. And I'm gonna choose all my directions to escape. So to the side, I can fold. Okay. Then I choose left to right to put my lateral motion. And then I'm gonna choose a rotation. You can be using this rotation. You can be using that rotation. And the fourth thing you can choose is to where to put your weight. And those four things together, that weight is in relation to him, is going to decide how I'm going to end up. So for example, I fold, I'm going to laterally make the motion, rotate, look into his eyes, and I'm going to keep going away. Not on a single moment am I going to go back to the center. That's always when I lose position. You want to go away. See? And now Francesco is going to stay, but in theory you could choose to like follow my rotation, or you could counter my rotation to the other side. And you're going to have different outcomes. So once I'm here, I cannot take this rotation any further without me using my legs or my arm. It can be different ways. Maybe you lift the foot just a little bit and you feel it come loose. In general, I like to have a very big base. Every time you bring your legs together, you become a mermaid. There's a certain advantage sometimes for leg attacks and try to liberate your feet. But in general, I like to keep a wide base, but we discuss about it, of course. So, and every time I'm here, I try to go away, keep walking, and maybe I'm stuck. It's fine for now. I'm mostly safe. Then we can start moving his legs around and keep going away. Not on a single moment you bring your shoulders back unless he changes motion. Keep walking away and become this. What else can you choose? You can choose also to go deeper or higher. So I could, for example, say I'm going to make an extension. And no chokes allowed. I'll make an extension. I choose my lateral side. Look into his eyes. Keep going and make my rotation. And keep going away. And even things like this where you get the head from mount, from back attack can happen. And then maybe I fall on this side, maybe I fall on this side. Okay. Then it becomes a mount escape. Maybe when I was already here, Francesco puts me on that side. Okay. Then it became more like a wrestling match. So play with those things around a little bit. The beginning, you move alone, and he's going to stay there passively. And then later, you're going to start following, like trying to use your motion to stop the motion from your partner. And then we're going to go close. Okay? So try this, please. Let's go. My idea is just to give you ideas on how you can drill this. And you first do it without arms. Then you know all the ranges of the motions you can get. And there is actually 8 ways. See? You can, if you fully fold and fully go backwards, that's fine. But in the middle, you're never going to get out. Right? So the middle is always total chaos. Right, Francesco? I like to think about it like this. Comparison with boxing. Stand up, please. If we both stand together, if you both sit next to each other, and we're going to do a boxing match here. Oh, would you do this? For whom is it bad? For both of us, right? We have both very much offense. Well, but arguably not the best, and also both hands for deep, but not the best. So it's going to be total chaos. And who's going to win here? The one which has least consideration for his own body and life. Who wants to do that? No? So. It's not a good gamble. The same is here. Look, if we're in the middle, if Francesco's on my back, see? So he's here. Yeah? It's 50% I choose right. And if I go there, Francesco can react by going to the same side. Great, that's good. And he can go to the other side. See? And I'm not going to argue which one is better, which one is worse. Like I said in chess, you should Google it's really the Shannon's number. There is more possible chess games than there is atoms in the visible universe. And that's just with 32 square board, which each 16 pieces. And we have way more possibility and pieces on our body. So the chances that we're gonna ever do all possible combinations is impossible. So, but after a while, you start to find the same patterns. And there's probably different winning strategies you can find. And now today I'm gonna share what I came up so far, the best winnable strategy for me from the back. So come here, please. First, the very first thing I have to say before we go to the choke itself, see? I have to say, look, when I'm in the middle, I do not choose anything. The game is just too complex. Because it's left, right, forward, back. 8 directions. See? What I do for here, look, is always I want to go for a grip. Now, which grip? Look. First of all, Francesco, rotate this side, please. Great. And rotate the other side. So how are we going to take a little bit of rotation out? I have to have a grip. So what I like to do is go for the far elbow. In the past, in my class, I gave it 3 years ago, I went for the shoulder. And it's still very valid, but it has advantages that I can fold him and stop certain things. But for now, I find it's easier to get, if you block the shoulder, get underneath. I admit, this is a battle. This is a battle. Sometimes when they completely close, you go over. It also happens. But today I'm going to keep it easy, and we're going to assume we're going to get this grip. But everything is a grip fight. And if it's going to be here, it's always going to be hard. That's like a 50-50 fight, which you have all rights to win, all rights to lose. When you get this, then it's more on your side. Big topic is this. Always exaggerate your grips. See, why is this? Look, this is a general thing. If I have Francesco's hand, see, here, I grab his wrist, see, he can move inside his own skin. See? So just rotate inside your own skin. Again, it's 2 variables. What I like to do is always exaggerate your grip, see, and then twist. And now Francesco can go with the pad of least resistance, which is predictable and fast, see? Or he can go against it, which is actually what usually will happen, and it's not what I want, but it's slow and I can react. See? So that's what you create like a better option if you exaggerate your grips. So the same thing is here. You exaggerate your grip, see, and twist a little bit back. So now Francesco, look in my eyes on this side, easy, right? Go to the other side, slightly harder. The next thing we have to stop right now, so Francesco can still rotate to that side. The rotation is stopped by using addressing this shoulder. So what I'm going to use my elbow, see, and pinch it back on the shoulder. So my elbow is stopping the rotation to that side. Now, right now, this hand, where do I grip? Well, why do I grip? If I don't grip, it's an open loop. And Francesco can use my hand and start bringing it to different sides. So why do we grip? To address that. And to make it all slightly more tight. How to make it tight? The same thing I said on Monday with the core motion. You're going to use your arms first. Now, people have a tendency, when they pull their arms, they pull their back as well. And this gives space that he can use to complete his rotation. See? So, Jitsu is not about moving the opponent, it's taking motion away. And a submission or an arm lock, for example, is taking motion away to the point where it cannot move anymore and then apply negative motion, and it breaks. So the same thing, you want to do stop motion, so we go over, rotate, pull it back, and now catch the arm. Right now, in theory, if I attach myself well with my legs as well, and Francisco starts spinning, I should be able to move with him through space. Now, that's not a very good thing, because on competition, you roll outside of the mat. Reset if you had a choke. Okay, I don't want that. If it's on the street self-defense, you roll the street, truck drives by. In any case, it's harder, so you want to stop motion. So you go over, twist back, and do this. Okay, now, how do you make more strength? You pull your arms first, push your chest forward, and then start back engagement. And this makes it more tight. Straight away from here, I have to choose a side, or he's going to choose for me. And he can decide after if he goes with it or against. But now, usually it's easy for me to get this. So I'm going to look into his eyes and drop underneath him. See, one of the biggest escapes and most annoying ones, if I let go, you're going to rotate the other side. You can go this side, go, beautiful. And you can go to the other side. This rotation, yes. So the first thing I'm going to address is this one over here. He goes out, I go far, go for the shoulder, go over, and I'm going to look into his eyes. So now if Francesco tries to put his head on the floor, I'm in the way. That's addressed. Okay? The second one he can do is to rotate in. See, this one. We address it. Go back, please. We address this one by stretching our arms. So you go now for back, please. Slightly harder, right? Okay. And still is a game for my legs as well. But I'm going to stop over here. So the one thing you're not going to be able to stop right now is Francesco doing a full extension. See this? And if he rotates away. That's going to be the next phase you're going to stop. So one more time. I block his elbow initially. Assume now I'm going to get the underhook. But later you're going to drill like this as well. Go underneath. Catch his elbow. Exaggerate. Twist back. Go over. See? Rotate back. And get a grip as well. Push forward. Squeeze your arms. Engage your back. Look into his eyes. You have to take as much the side as I can. As I go. See? Keep your arms extended. Squeeze your elbows. Now from here you're going to look into his eyes. And he's going to try to escape. You try this one first, go the other one. Second thing, great. Then third, you do the full extension. And now you're going to feel how everything gets way harder. Just escape, please. I'm going to do my best without changing my legs yet. Okay. And then the next detail is going to be about the legs. Okay. So where are the legs going to be? And you always think about. I was big about rotation. Jitsu is always about rotation and counter rotation. If you don't see that, then come to me after the class and I will try to explain. So look, they always say like where the head goes, the body follows. But it's only half the truth. Because it's actually where any joint goes, the body follows. If your hand goes that way, you follow, right? Or you don't and you break it. The only difference is, with our joints, we still have a choice. We can break we also have a choice with the neck, which shows you only will make once, right? So with our knees, look, if our knees are like this, which side am I rotating to? Both, so none. Yeah? And the same thing applies if you squeeze your knees. See, you can go to either side, but they're like countering each other in this moment. The moment you put your knees in one side, you decided the rotation. And that's always the case. See? So if you're here, if you're in the middle, see, I like to squeeze my knees in this case. And if you would ever go full extension in the middle, see, I like to open my legs. And then when he picks a side, I can just decide to counter that rotation. And this is true for every guard. You should treat this just as any other guard. In the past, getting to the back was like a fatality, see? And now thanks to, some things that I did, Chris work, bridge work, it's just another part of the game, whether it's escapes and attacks and pretty much everything. So treat it like a guard. You know? So the only thing is I'm less away from danger to get immediately finished. But otherwise you can treat it as, I always try to consider everything as neutral. Every position is valid and it's worth exploring. So now go over the shoulder, catch the hand, squeeze, see, look into his eyes and don't stay behind the shoulder. So really make a point of push yourself completely sideways. Okay? And now you're going to keep that motion and go down. So once you're here, your legs, see? Well, I have to stop more of his rotation because his knees, pinch your knees to one side. See? If his knees are like that, he can go that side. And that's very hard to recover from. There's a whole game from turtle top as well, which I will not get into, but I only have 1 hour. But that would be later. So we want to prevent it first. I always want to be the one on top. Or at least have the ability to stop him from coming on top. So what you're going to do, look, you're going to open your foot more to his knee, to the end of the lever. You're going to go here, and now you're going to make, I call it X legs. So squeeze your knees together. See? If I can keep his knees spread open, see, it's going to make it harder for him to go to that side. At the same time, the pinch of my knees, see here? See, I'll make, and by stretching of my arms, and going a bit backwards with my core. See, try to make a bridge now, Francesco. It's not impossible, but it gets harder, right? Yep. Yeah. So if I'm relaxed, go for it, see? It bridges, and while I'm still fighting to push him down, he's already fighting his rotation to that side, and I lose him fully. See? So, my goal is always to keep as much slack out of the game as possible. I'm going to go over, catch the elbow, go over again, catch, look into his eyes as far as I can, stretch my arms, pinch my knees. At the same time, what this does, it makes it slightly uncomfortable. I'm going to be honest, what I'm playing right now with in the game, is because often when the person just defends, it's very hard to get into. You have to make it more uncomfortable. So I'm now experimenting how far I can take the pinching of the ribs, see? Well, without breaking and injuring him, but at the same time, make him enough uncomfortable to move. Another thing you can apply here is squeeze the knees, and also you can put like some sort of a hip lock. So what does it mean? Look, if I just fully extend, if I move him first, I give him space to move. So instead what I'm doing, I'm going to be tight, squeeze my knees, push my shoulder forward, as I also push in so I keep pulling my shoulder forward, my core, and I also start putting pressure on my hips. You feel it? Yeah. So now try to move here. Not impossible, that makes it way harder, right? And it's in those motions you're going to get openings to attack, or not, if he's very resilient. But at least it's more stuck. So look into his eyes, stretch. Do not putting my head on the floor. That will give him more space to get out. I like to go up. It's as if I'm doing this rotation. It's like you go sideways, you start going away, and you make it starting to go for a bigger bridge to that side. So I call this motion the scoop. The same thing we'll be doing in a half guard sweep. So I'm here, catch. The elbow, please. Look into his eyes, pinch your knees. If he goes that way, see, the other side, I slightly start to elevate my right knee. If he goes the other side, I pull it a bit back. Understand this? Second part of it, whenever he does manage to bring his hip up entirely, you got to stop this. So how do you do this? I like to put this foot in his knee, see? And put a hook or stopper into his knee and keep this pressed. Don't push him away. Every time I move him, I give him space. So I think I should go up, please. Bridge. I stop him and I start walking away. If he goes higher, I stop him and I move with him. Put his foot over here. Yeah. So the one thing I hate most about IBJJF points is it gives us the illusion that 2 feet inside is the best, and it's the only thing we should be going for. And to be honest, the only thing I put my feet there is to get my 4 points quickly, and then put my feet whenever I need to put them to address the position. So try, please. I'm going to repeat one tiny part from my class on Monday, right? So our goal is to have the rear naked. And I think it's very important to be precise in Jitsu, even in spots where it doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to explain in a second why and what I mean. Look, imagine I get this. If I get a full rear naked, with my hand behind his head, elbows pinned, I can do whatever I like, he's going to die. I can do the wrongest thing ever, which is pulling my arms and stretching my legs, and literally like pull his head out of his shoulders, and he will tap. But it doesn't mean it's the correct thing to do, like both injury-wise for him, and I believe if you're not precise in your end motions, then you're going to be not precise in your early motions as well. I like to see it like, you know the artist Pollock with his fractal paintings? Okay. So they say if you zoom in completely or zoom out, so always look at the same. And might be like a bit philosophical, but I believe if you really, like imagine you want to explain someone who the body works. You would explain there is a head, 2 arms, 2 legs, explain rudimentary how it moves, and you're going to explain the tiniest cell, how that works. And I believe it would be possible if you have both extremes, you'd be able to explain how the whole body works together. Okay? So I like, for example, with my beginners occasionally give like quick ideas, just they can play around. Like I really like the way, for example, like a Christian teaches his class, like very broad in games and then go deeper into it. See? And this would be the same thing. You can apply broadly how it works, and then you're going to go completely tiny into the submission. And why is submission important? Because that's where injuries happen. You have to be very precise in that part and precise on the defense as well. So whenever and the legs apply to that as well in a second. So whenever I'm here, see, I want to go for a rear naked. Once I get my rear naked in, so look at this. Once I go from here, Francesco can do 3 things. He can stay, he can rotate that side, and he can rotate that side. The ideal thing for me to happen is if Francesco rotates to that side, I can get my arm in. Now, if Francesco's rotation goes that side, and I rotate, so this is pretty much every time I get this, it's finished against most people, not always. If I just go inside and rotate my elbow, it's pressure, but it's pressure over motion. Because if I start to go here and Francesco starts to spin, I have to assume I'm going to keep enough pressure until he sleeps. So if you want to increase pressure, you have to use 2 opposite rotations. So if I have his neck here, and Francesco rotates in, don't sleep here. So I rotate back, see, it increases pressure on his throat. Understand? At the same time, if Francesco wants to remove my hand, he's going to have to pull it away that side. Now, if my hand is already going to that side, it's easier to remove the hand. Tiny bit, but tiny bits matter. If my hand travels that side, see, try to rotate that side of Francesco and try to remove my hand. It's harder, right? Yeah. Correct? Now, usually when you attack back, see, one arm beats or has a better chance to beat the other arm than 2 versus 2. Why is that? Because he only has to address one hand really. It's the hand that's going to do the choke. So in fact, it's 1.5 against, so it's actually 1 against 1.5 in most cases. So whenever I'm here, I'm going to try to go for the choke. So now I get it for free. I go. Francesco rotates that side, I'm going to counter-rotate. And that's usually if he's, silly enough to keep rotating, it will slowly die. And then the moment he switches side, see, I'm going to switch my side as well, and then I'm going to have the choke. And this is always my first goal, the single arm choke. And even if you have your perfect choke, and we can do anything we pretty much like, we should still try to be perfect. So he rotates left side, and I'm going to go this side. And he goes the other side, and then we finish. Got it? Together with this, we're going to do another thing. Look, I really like to have the body triangle. Okay? I'm going to combine with the choke in a second. Now, with the body triangle, if I see, if you see Gordon Ryan fight, I see him on some fights doing this. And occasionally I feel it and occasionally I tap. So I think it's very interesting to explore still, and that's my work in progress right now. So how far can we go to put those feet? And is the limit of my own body? Does it depend on flexibility? Probably, but I don't know. For me, also like Chris said, see, he preferred not to be here. I also prefer that. To be higher, slightly safer. But occasionally I like to put it here as well just to experiment with it. Just ask your training partner not to jerk it because it's like super tight. And the goal for me would be actually to find, because why would you cross your legs? If you don't, most of the time you're going to escape. If you just play with your feet here, you're running a few years behind. You gotta use those legs. See? So the cool game would be to eventually explore a game where you can actually actively, maybe even give your back and actively hunt for leg locks here. But who knows? So now, if Francisco is here, don't move, huh? It's gonna be very hard for you to close that body triangle without giving my foot in any case, especially if he's bigger. See, so when I'm here, see, if Francisco stays here, if he rotates that side, it's impossible to close my body triangle. But then I have a higher chance of going for that choke. Every time he rotates away from the choke, that's when he rotates into my body triangle. And again, at your own leisure, feel how you should put your legs and your feet. See, maybe here, maybe there, but I do not like to get my foot caught for the moment. So occasionally here, this seems to be safer. Once you have this position, see, you can go tight in, you can squeeze your knees a bit, see, you can put pressure forward, extend your hip. So never this, see, put forward and then put some pressure on the hip. You feel right?
Yeah.
And this, so even if he's fully protecting his neck, see, doing these motions and giving this pressure, see, gives some openings, forces him to move a little bit, which later can open a choke. Next part, I will talk about how to address the arm. So what are we going to do now exactly? Test the different rotation in the choke. So he rotates that side, I rotate this side. He switches his rotation, I go in, I go forward, and turn this. You can test it like this. You can test it with a full rear naked, which honestly I prefer. Well, if I get here, great. But this is a very big gamble. 1, 2, 3, defend, bump. And you occasionally lose it. So prefer to go with this one first. At the same time, when I'm here, I have my control, I pay the choke, he rotates wrong. Thank you very much. See? If he doesn't give it, he rotates away with his legs. I can start closing my feet again. One more thing, sorry. If he pinches his chin, like this, he cannot get underneath. Close your chin, please. I'm gonna be very slow before your neck, okay? But you're gonna go over the face, see? And the hand will be addressed later. You go over the face, see? Pull your elbow back, and now make like, oh, you feel it, right? It's like a, well, I don't know how to call it, but you get the idea. You pull the head sideways, see? Pull your arms, push your chest, and now you're going to exaggerate your chest. Gives him two options. Either pull the arm down, which gets into our grip fight, which we'll address later, or if both arms will be trapped, and I do this, then they're going to lift their chin and you go inside. So, wait, 5 minutes. So what I'm also saying, it's not a fully thing. So people will still rotate to their knees. People will still stand up. And the more they get to their knees, the more they stand up, the harder it gets. That's just a fact. That's just the way it is. And you can try to get better. And ultimately, it's going to be who spend the most time fighting in that particular spot. And also, physique matters a lot. Right? The bigger the person is, I find it harder to attack the back. So occasionally, you cannot even get fully here. They will be more dependent on putting feet on the legs like that. Now, what I found is in my gym lately, instead of, because, okay, you build this up. For example, what I teach today will be my first week, let's say. And the week after, new people come in and they don't know the first part. And I found, okay, I want to re-explain it, but I never get there. So in reality, you have like a perfect sequence, but it's very hard to teach newcomers. So what I found out, I quickly give a recap of the whole first thing that I give, like in the beginning of the first 5 to 10 minutes. And then I put a lot of time, like I put like at least 2 months lately, every day 30 minutes of back attacks and back escapes. And then I make also the rule, if you have 3 rounds, so 6-minute rounds, every time you win, you can go on my back. So the winner gets forced to be in a bad spot. And the beginner or the one who taps can also attack more. You have forced people really to think about this. The reason I put a lot of time to this was because back escapes were getting too easy. And I get very lazy in my guard. So if I pass my guard, okay, rotate away. And that has to stop. We have to have one certainty Jitsu. Well, it's not the case because you have to have both rotations, give back, give face, give both. But we have to try to instill the fear a bit in people to have the back, to give the back. And then still, not give in to the fear and still give it so you train it. But it's important to have that, I believe. Okay, so I go around. I go here. I look into his eyes. So what I see a lot of people now doing still is to fall too much sideways. It's literally like an inside arrivo or whatever, trying to be underneath your leg as close as possible. They always want to control this space. And this even applies here. When I'm the one in control, I still have to close that space. So I go underneath and go as deep with my elbow inside my knee as possible. Catch, go over, fall. Pinch my knees. Now from here, what can happen? Look, as I go, so Francisco is going to be tight and small, and the lucky thing is, even in IBJJF, you cannot stall from the back. So I have the right to spend here as much time as possible. If you rush, you will lose it. And right now I have battles in my gym. I put 30 minutes, and occasionally it takes me 20 minutes to finish my partner, or 20 minutes for him to get out. But they have to be open to have that fight, at least in the beginning, to clean the technique. Okay? So when we're here, every time I go for the face, I have to assume, see here, I hope Francisco will rotate more so I can close my legs. Right? But I have to assume he's going to tuck it in and going to go for my arm. Every time he goes for my arm, see, I have to let go of this one, see, go over, and then I hope I have time to block both and get a quick attack. But very often when I go and he blocks my arm, and I go, he will go with his second arm. So go back this. So when I'm here, I go for the choke, he pulls my arm down, see? I try to go over, he blocks my second arm, I strip it, and then we have a grip fight. And occasionally you will lose that. So here is where you're going to lose the fight, provided you have everything else correct. So our arms, our legs work all together. But even with my legs alone, see, I can keep him stuck, and then again go for the grip fight. I don't have time to go in completely for the full grip fight now, but what I can tell is this. In the chaos of this, so game A is go for the choke when he rotates that side. Game B is go for the choke when he tucks his face in, go over, extend the neck, opens, go in. Game 3 is when I'm here and he trips my arm, is to keep him stuck here, preferably with a body triangle. See? And keep him in this loop and keep attacking, keep attacking, keep attacking. If it's your very good friend or your worst enemy, you start putting pressure with your chin. Squeeze more on your knees. See? Go, start rubbing his skin if it's a really good friend. See? And then go deeper and deeper, and every time, if I lose the look, so my hips and my legs stop his rotation. The same thing do my arms. So every time his face starts to go that side and start to miss the choke, I have to steer a bit back with my legs. So in this game, it gets my arm, I have to go over, strip it, go attack. And sometimes I will get it, sometimes I will not get it, and then I have to have other options. But one thing I realized, look, when I looked at the fight, Gordon Ryan against Topinho, and Gordon managed to take Topinho's back after 2-3 minutes, I believe, yeah? And then it took 8-10 minutes, I don't know, like the whole match, and Gordon was not able to finish. He spent like 10 minutes on Topinho's back, he didn't finish him. So Gordon is probably arguably the best back attacker in the world, or at least one of the best. If he cannot finish Topinho, a stronger fighter but less technical, then I have to accept that maybe sometimes this is going to be. Like, if we cannot assume we're going to win, we cannot assume we're going to escape it. The ideal, what we're looking for here, is a stalemate. A game where defense and attack are equal, and we have to have the fight, and then it's time, pressure, points, all those factors will play into the game. Now what I noticed, every time I'm here, see, and Francesco manages to, so I'm going to rotate a bit, see, put your legs here on this side. First, I have to say one more thing. What I'm looking for when I'm here, see, in this grip fight, I can have a few other things. What I can go for is go for the hand in this whole grip fight. Now, in the previous iteration of this Koala thing, I went over the shoulder, and I always tried to step over the shoulder after a while. But what I noticed was people always closing the elbow. So then my answer was do it quicker and keep doing it until he misses. But it's not a good answer. So what I found now, I go for the arm, and if I manage to strip this, if I push the elbow open, see, I can put it underneath my arm often, and have another split second, which it's still an open loop, so you can get out, but that's. Now, if it gets out here, then you have to explore crucifix, which we're doing right now as well. And I work back from crucifix to the back, or finishing from there. And the other one, see, is from here, if you control the elbow, see, you can, if it gives a space, and this is something you have to be attentive to, if you can put your heel inside, strip it, and go over as well. Again, closed loop, so you gotta treat crucifix, put a lot of time in crucifix and treat it as an extension of the back attack. with crucifix, choke, and triangles, and even if he rotates guillotines, it has to be part of the game. Now, when do you open your loop? If it's with the competition, it's a 10-minute match. If it's a submission-only match without time limit, I'm going to keep him there until he gives me that heel thing. If he just dies from boredom. If it's like a competition with 6 minutes, then I might not even do it. I'm fine to win on points. It's a game. That's what we do. And anything else, feel it. Come back here, please. And take deliberate gambles, calculated gambles. Now, whenever you have this one here and you have the body lock, if you rotate that side by yourself, see, Francesco will have this one away. He will be less than ideal to attack in that moment. But if I do everything perfect on this side, move your legs over that way. Here. If I do everything perfect on this side and he rotates that side, see, I start to stop him, go, here. Then once I have here, it's try to rotate on either side. It's hard, right? Yeah. And this gives me the ability for me to start attacking. I don't even care where the shin is. Protect the chin. Here I go over the face, take it out, and I go for I will be very nice. And here go over, and you can go for like a crank on the killer routine. But it only applies, I find, if you wait for him to go that side himself. So what I suggest is I filmed everything. I will upload it on YouTube. And also look at the class from 3 years ago, because all those elements apply as well. When he gets out, what I'm trying to look at is like frustrate him enough to get to choke, or when he gets out, have the lead in attacking, for example, for arm triangles as well. And that's on that class from 3 years ago.
Thank you for watching this class until the very end. Let me know in the comments if you like the new way of editing with the extra camera angles, if I should keep it up in the future or skip it altogether. I also filmed a Q&A at the end of this class, with some one-on-one fixes and questions from people. Let me know in the comments as well if you want me to release that part. As always, thank you for watching. Please leave a like, share and subscribe to my channel.